episode 49. I'm running it solo today, but I got a great guest on, personal friend, so I'm excited for everybody to kind of hear his background on what he's doing. But yeah, we're back. We finally got the office together, so we basically did this fun tour so everybody can kind of see what our workspace looks like and all that. And then I just got back last week from the East Coast, going up to Rhode Island, North Carolina, and New York to visit clients. I've talked about in the past that I think it's really important to get in front of clients. Went out there, kind of did that whole deal, which was super fun. Now I'm back in the office, and we're going to get back to doing some chop-ups. So let's check it out. Hey, Steve, you there?
Man, Dan, awesome. Yeah, I'm stoked to be on with you guys.
Bones Brigade member, designer, motion graphics, buddy, like super stoked to have you on, Steve.
I just remember you at DC, the quieter cubicle guy, bringing in the lunch, saving the money, doing the right thing, and then when you bounced out and you started your thing, this is awesome to see. So
getting introduced to you and Brian and Carl, and I was like, oh shit, like Steve Saiz, like public domain, like Bones Brigade member, like fuck, Danny Way and Damon Way, Carl,
yeah.
Carl Heineman, like sitting there like first day going, yeah. What the fuck am I doing here? Like, how did I get this job?
When Ken brought me in, because I was at Spy Optics, that's where he kind of saw some of my first stuff, and I just thought the what those guys did was amazing back then, and I was like, oh man, I don't know if I'm ready for this little side of the corporate thing, but it's like, fake it till you make it.
Totally. Right, exactly.
It's like even going into just recently switching over to motion graphics and 3D animation and going into broadcasting, like I did start doing Bar Rescue, that reality show.
Look at this, Danny.
I seen it.
But you served it. So understand you're cooked up.
And I was doing all that stuff for season 5 and 6. That was a whole new realm. I felt like, oh, day one, I'm just getting into it. These guys don't know how terrible I actually am, but you get in there, you learn, and you make some mistakes, but you kind of hopefully you come up on the positive versus the negative of what you're doing, and you can stay around for a while, and it worked out. So
for sure,
pretty cool.
When recently Ken Block passed away, super sad.
Yeah.
So that happened,
and
right away, obviously, I start thinking about the DC days and and working with him, and then you guys and what everybody else is doing and stuff like that. So then you and I kind of connected again. But yeah, let's talk a little bit about Ken, because to me, like what he did with his, from doing DC shoes and drawers and dub and special blend and all that stuff to selling it, and then moving on and doing his whole rally car thing and basically building this brand around himself. Like I've told people in the past, like I'm not shocked at all, that he built this brand around himself, because like at DC, he was the marketing genius behind that company. Without Ken Block, like, I mean, Damon was killing it as well, doing the apparel and everything else. But like, I mean, we worked, you and I, specifically with Ken on everything, ads, catalogs, and a lot of what came out of DC came out of Ken's head.
Yeah, because I always looked at him as like kind of a junior marketing like genius. Like that's what he did. You and I would sat there tons of times with him laughing at us at our dumb ideas.
Yeah.
Like going, "Here's how you do it." That laugh. Like he was so good about working with people. Like because we're both creatives, but we're professional. But you don't want somebody to crap on your things. He had the best way of going like, "I don't know how much cough syrup you had last night, but this idea sucks."
Yeah.
But he'd have that laugh and he goes, "Let's do this." And he kind of got me, and same thing probably with you. We had the same teacher, like him going, "Here's how you do this." So many times he had this idea, but sometimes I would come to him with like, "I don't know, this is kind of wacky." He's all, "No, hey, let's see, kind of brush it up. Let's do this and let's try this," and all the cool like little different things we were able to do. And
I think we're fortunate to work with him and kind of be in his presence and everything. It was rad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were there after they went DC sold and went public, and then you started your agency.
Yeah.
And then I know you were coming in because you were still doing some work for DC.
Yep.
Did you do much work for Ken at all?
Yeah, we did. I did one of the rally cars for him. I think it was this third livery on the San Francisco one, basically the car wrap and all the graphics and everything for that one. And then he would, every year he would kind of pick a new artist or whoever it was to do it. Yeah. And then I ended up working with Danny Way on his rally car graphics because of doing Ken's and everything. But that was kind of the last thing I did with Ken, was those rally car graphics. You were fortunate to work with a lot of the artists on their shoe boxes. Like I have this Shepard, the Obey shoebox. I mean, then you did a laundry.
Yeah, I still got mine too.
Do you? Yeah.
That's sick. Yeah, to be honest, like Shepard's an old buddy. I mean, we became friends. Like when I was on the Bones Brigade, first year I went on tour, 87. That's when we met. He skated in a demo with us.
Really?
But I just remember he had like a really good backside Smith on this mini ramp demo we did. Nice. It was like Tommy Guerrero, Tony Hawk, I think Per Willender was with us, and we're skating at Rhode Island and skated with him. Awesome. And then I remember telling a story to people. I said it in front of him. I go, "God, I have the first week that he did Obey, and he did this 3 of the Friends stickers. He gave me that first batch of stickers that he made.
Ooh.
I still have them.
Oh,
and
no.
I go, crap, the first time I met you, it's those stickers." And he goes, "No, that's not the first time we met." I go, "No, dude, that was the first time under the thing." He's like, "No, I met you the year before, because when I gave you that sticker, you'd already turned pro and I had your board. So that was actually 88. I go, "Holy crap, that's right." And he's still going to try to find me stickers of him riding my board back then. And I was like, "That's right, you're riding my board. That's awesome." But anyway, sorry, go off on a tangent there.
That's rad.
That box and everything he did, he basically had finished everything. From the shoe, we'd work on, here's the shoe colors, here's logo placement, here's mess with that. He sent it in, done. Colorways, done. Box design, done. I think the only thing I did for him is he had like a little merchandise little card thing where I took different posters of and his stuff and I put it together. His was like,
he wanted to handle it
I'd like to take credit for it. I knew shit.
That's funny.
Pardon my French.
I have some of our old catalogs here that we all worked on, together, and like, there was those deadlines, and I've talked about like, hey, we had some catalogs as DC started to grow that were 200 pages with frickin' hundreds of shoes and apparel and photo retouching and clipping, and our you know, because when I was first there was like 4 of us, and that started to grow, you know, and they started to hire people, but we still had a fairly small crew for the big catalogs and ads and packaging and all that shit that we were producing, you know. And I remember some super late nights there, especially when we got like close to doing the DC video and that thing was coming out.
Fresh out the gate again, time to raise the stakes again. Fat my plate again. Y'all cats know we always play to win. GNG to the stars.
And I was always like, you know, if I own a studio and do something on my own and have employees, I'm going to do my best to manage the clients and not do those 2 or 3 a.m., you know, work days for multiple days at a time, you know. But that's the reality of it when you do have hard deadlines, like a shoe catalog or some shit like that. Like, we had to do it. And I mean, I look back on it and go, cool, you know, I did it and I was young, so I didn't give a shit, but I wouldn't want to do it now. We could go on and on. I mean, I have sitting here like the DC, you know, Agents of Change book, you know, Terry Schneider locked himself in a room. Remember that little office by the printer to work on that book for like, I don't know, 6-9 months or some shit. But
I always got a gripe with that. I did the cover for it, and they were going to have a bonus cover thing, and they never gave me the bonus for it. I was like, you bastard.
That's right. We had a huge meeting of like everybody doing cover layouts. That's right. And you won that thing. They never paid you for it?
Yeah. Never.
I forgot about that.
And they asked me, Ken asked me, he's like, hey, do you want to do the book? I go, I don't think I want to do the book because you're going to be locked into just doing that. I go, because they jump me around to a bunch of stuff, like whatever I wanted to do.
Yeah.
I go, I don't want to do a book.
Yeah.
And but I just did the cover and thing, and I was trying to get them, and they got close to, because I was the title that I had was like, you know, I had that Stevie Williams ad where it's like, I always love my tagline. Wait, some lead, some follow, some change everything.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's where the change came from, because I was like, change everything. And that's kind of how DC was and what Ken and Damon did when they started the shoe company, because I remember being a skater then. The only shoe was like Airwalk, and they were falling off. And Vans wasn't like anything too great at the time either. And they came up with their 2 shoes that they came up with. The first one was like such a different skate, good looking shoe. I go, man, you guys really, you know, that's totally what they were. You know, some lead, some follow, and then like what they did, they changed everything. Along, you know, Soltec, Etnies, those guys did their part too, you know, but the game was really changing.
Yeah, it was for sure.
Yeah.
Let's go back a little bit, because before I came in here to sit down with you, we were watching your part in Public Domain.
As you witness the extraordinary exploits of the incredible Rubber Boys, Steve Saiz, Eric Sanderson, Ray Barbie, and Chet Thomas.
That, like, dude, that part, like, still to this day, we're even talking about just the street skating, you and Ray Barbie, and then just seeing Chet Thomas, you know, at whatever, 13, 14 years old. I've had the opportunity to work with Chet for the last, you know, close to 10 years on Dark Star. Just watching that part, it still holds up, dude. It's so good. How old were you? We were talking about, like, how old were you in that part? And you were still amateur, right, in that part?
I was AM, and Ray was AM, and that's the first time Stacy Peralta ever used film. Like, it was video stuff before, but that's when he, first time he used film, black and white. And it's funny, Chet and I just had lunch last week.
Oh, nice.
And, you know, we talked about, like, you know, how you worked with you guys and stuff, and I kind of gave him the history of us, and told him I was coming on here, and he was stoked. And, Chet was, I think he was 14, because I kind of was like his first sponsor, so to speak, before I got on Powell. Like, I kind of picked him up, I saw him ripping, and, you know, he was like, hey, thanks, man, you got me started. I go, like, dude, he was hounded by everybody else. If it wasn't me, it would have been somebody else. Chet started Dark Star. That was something we were going to start together, actually. I just asked him, hey, you want to do this wheel company thing with me? But then I had so much freelance business, and, you know, skateboarding, it's really hard to be a hardcore company and really make money. And, you know, I'm you know, get the mortgage and all that stuff. And I'm like, you know, hey, I just told Chet, hey, I can't do it right now. I'm just too busy. And he just asked me, like, hey, dude, can I do something on my own? Do you mind if I still take that momentum we're talking about? I'm like, yeah, go ahead. Yep. And then he hit me back like a week or so later, I think maybe with his brother Matt, that did a lot of graphics and stuff back then, the Skull Phone homie. He came back and goes, "Oh, I'm doing Dark Star," and you know, he just, I think he had like, I don't know, $7,000 or something, or 10,000, and he bought all these wheels. But then he basically talked to all the distributors, you know, international, you pay up front. So he's stoked. Drop ship to his house, boom, packs it up, turns it over, and kept turning it over. And then Dark Star started that way.
That's cool.
That's rad. And then you guys did basically all their graphics.
Yeah, we worked on a ton of them for the last like 10 years. Yeah, which is cool. Which Joe King, LA artist who owns like No Hours brand and stuff, he was doing a ton of Dark Star stuff, and he got super busy and was basically handed it off to us. And had told Matt and Chet, like, hey, you know, I'm too busy, I can't do this, but these guys are super dope. If anybody's going to do it, they should. So I always give a shout out to Joe King, because he hooked that up. But yeah, Chet is amazing to work with. Matt's fun. So the whole Dark Star thing has been rad for years and years. Yeah. But tell me about the your pro model. Like, you illustrated that graphic, right?
No, I didn't.
No? Okay.
Sean Cliver just came on to Powell. So the first graphics that he got were Ray and my graphic.
Good.
You know,
Gotcha.
So the first one he did, Ray Barbie's, no brainer. Ray always said he wanted a doll, and he said it was easy piece of cake. And then me, I wanted to draw my own graphic, but I wasn't commercially ready to do that. But Powell and Stacy, George and Stacy, they were cool enough to kind of like, I just wanted to see where I'd go with it. But it was like this terrible, it looked like this blob creature from the water that looked like Jabba the Hutt. It was oozing out my name, you know, there was oozing out my name. And I always say, no offense to Santa Cruz, because they have some of the greatest iconic graphics ever. But it's like it was like a bad, like if you take a hardcore Santa Cruz graphic, it was like one of those done really badly. You know, didn't look like Powell, didn't look like anything. I mean, I'm part Comanche, and, you know, I was like, I would like to go back to what Saiz is and the whole thing. So I just go, you know what, I'm going to do something off, you know, some of my roots, you know.
Yeah.
And I started drawing up like this one headdress skull thing, and I presented it to Stacy, and then they came back. I go, I kind of want some maybe Comanche shield thing or something, and then, you know, Sean went to work on it, and they came back with my graphic, which was a cool Comanche shield thing. Only thing about it, it had a totem pole in it. But I looked at the graphic, I go, man, it's amazing. I loved it, but I go, but that's not what that is. The shield's right, but that isn't. But then Stacy was kind of like, well, it is look rad. He was like, well, you know what? Let's make it about, he was kind of like, let's make it about just, it could be like about it's all nations sort of thing. And I was like, oh, that sounds cool. And I talked to one of my uncles at the time, who was a chief, just like, hey, what do you think? He's like, no, that's great. That's awesome to put something like that who you are and what it is about. So Sean Cliver ended up drawing that first graphic.
Cool.
So
gotcha.
Yeah, I was super hyped, and now with the reissues of it too, and it's just rad to see that pop up and around.
Cool. Well, before we end this, let us know what you got going on, because I just saw you have a big mural in a Starbucks right there in Huntington, right, or something?
I did one before pandemic. I did one of Christian in Venice on the boardwalk, which I was stoked that Christian and his dad Ivan let me use their photos and all that to do that. So they were super cool. And then after the pandemic, just recently, just posted up this last month, Starbucks in Huntington Beach on Main Street by the pier.
Yep.
They just redid that place, redesigned it. So, and it's a bigger place. If you go to my Instagram thing, if you go to my Instagram is Saiz 5412. I have it on there, and I was there with that artist Chase yesterday. We I think I showed you a little clip of it. Yeah, it was really rad. They were just like, we want something. They're like, we have a 24-foot wall, 6 feet high. Can you do something? And, you know, the budget worked out. I was like, okay, cool. And I grew up surfing in Huntington and Newport, being from Long Beach, or coming from Long Beach. And, so I thought, like, well, my first things at Huntington Beach was skating with Jason Lee, and then, like, Templeton, too, but more like Jay Lee. But it's so funny. I reached out to Jason, or we did, like, barbecue thing, and I told him about it, and he's like, he's like, hey, you better put me in there. And I go, dude, I would love to, but dude, they don't have that kind of money to pay for Jason Lee.
Right.
And he's all,
They don't have
like,
that Chipmunks money.
they want me to just do random ones. I go, some of my paintings that I do, the bigger ones are like they're oil and they're spray can, and a lot of them are kind of from images. And he's like, dude, you got to use me. Just use it. Do whatever you want. I'm really stoked on that piece right now. So that I think they opened it up. I think it's been up for like a month now. So yeah, if anybody's down in Huntington Beach, it's right there. Like it's 2 blocks from the big Starbucks there.
Starbucks. Cool.
So,
cool.
So.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate your time. Appreciate sitting down, catching up.
Totally, Dad. Thanks for having me on, man. It's an honor. I'm stoked.
Nah, I'm stoked. You're a legend in my mind, and like I said, I was fortunate enough to get that job at DC Shoes and work next to you and Ken and that whole crew, and hyped.
Yeah, yep. You're a legend too, Dan. So
thank you, Steve.
What are your thoughts on paying to get into an awards contest?
Yeah, I mean, depending on how the award, I guess, contest is structured, then I would say, yes or no. But like we won this award for the Billie Eilish packaging. It was submitted to the Graphic Design USA kind of award contest by the packaging company that we did the design for. Therefore, they get an award and we do as well for doing the design work. But we didn't submit this, so it kind of cost us nothing. But it's cool. I mean, it's great to be recognized for sure, and we got the piece of paper that says it, which is cool. But yeah, so there are awards out there that you probably don't have to, and contests that you don't have to pay for. I think you'd have to dig a little bit for it. But yeah, I don't understand the whole like pay $50, pay $100 per piece to be involved in this award ceremony, basically.
Bamika Van Musker writes, tutorial or time-lapse of one of Brandon's illustrations, please. Would love to see his process.
We want to do a bit of a deeper dive, more so than just like a time-lapse or, quick tutorial. Dive into Brandon's brushes, why he does what he does, kind of the background to what the artwork is that he's working on. So it'll be a little bit more than just kind of a quick tutorial on like say illustration and Brandon's process. It'll go into kind of the nuts and bolts behind it all. So it's in the works. So it's taken a little longer than expected, but it is coming out later this year. So
Nathan writes, next raster or vector question needs to be asking people their preferred rich black formula. I'm a 60-40-40-100 man myself.
Yeah, so Rich Black, 60-40-40-100. That's funny because that's always been my mix. It's crazy because nowadays, depending on what the outcome is of the design and the product, like if it's web, like you don't really need to care. When I was working at DC and kind of this episode and talking about catalogs and ads that are running in magazines, 60-40-40 and a Rich Black it has to be that. You do 100% K with no other CMYK in there at all, like you're going to be able to see through that black. It's almost a dark gray. Whatever is behind that black is going to show through, and in an ad in a magazine you will see it right away. So depending on like what you're doing, and now with designers working on basically online and stuff more so than print, it only comes into play in print. But 60-40-40-100 is the preferred Rich Black for us here. All right, so thank you guys for watching this week. Sitting down with Steve and I, we have a long history, and like I said, we could have kept going. I have all this crap in front of me that we could have dug into. Will's gonna pop some of this up on there to show you guys. But yeah, just excited to sit down with him and chop it up and talk about history and Ken Block. That's kind of what spurred this whole episode, was the passing of Ken, who founded DC Shoes. So yeah, thank you guys, and click YouTube, ring bells, and do all that shit, and appreciate all the follows. So see you next time.